What's going on? Welcome to Minutes with Meg at toldaslovetarot with the Gemini Meg. And this is actually my second one of the day, but I'm gonna set it up hopefully to premiere tomorrow morning. I was just struck with this other really good, I was thinking this would be a really interesting topic to bring up, and it kind of coincides with what I was saying, kind of with consider the source. So I have Applause by Lady Gaga playing because that was the song that came into my head as I wanted to make a video about those who need applause but won't applaud others, or just won't applaud others. And hoping that this all makes sense to someone, because I do have conversations and share these topics and thoughts with people, and they'll be like, "You're right, Megan, you're right, Megan." And then when I actually try to put the thoughts together, that's where I'm like, I hope you're following where I'm going with this, because it makes perfect sense up here. So this is a 1 hour loop of Lady Gaga's Applause, and I was thinking, there are people out there that would, that is what they want and need. And this is so interesting that I was able to find this thinking of this song. So my belief is, and you can see it if you look around at the people around you, there are people who thrive off of and need, quote unquote, applause. They're the people who I'm just thinking of. I've seen memes out there that are showing the truth of our today's society, and it's someone giving money to a homeless person while taking a selfie. Remember that? Oh, this just popped into my head. Remember there was a hurricane coming in down south, and there was a online content creator, Instagrammer, who had someone following her with a camera, and she jumped out to make it look like she was helping put up wood to protect the business, and someone else caught them on camera doing this, and she posed for the picture, and then she jumped in the car and left. It's something along those lines. I mean, well, that's fake as shit, and that person is a shitbag in my opinion. But there's something to be said about the people who do good things out there in the world and want their picture taken and want people to know what they have done. Applause, here we go again. You may find that, let's say you got an email last week that someone in your company was able to solidify, I'm just thinking of a meeting with a certain person from the top of the company that usually never ever comes down for meetings. And when you read the email, oh wow, that's awesome. And then you go into your weekly small group meeting and that person's there, and that's the first thing they bring up is yeah, so I was able to solidify Bob coming down and talking to us about what's coming up next. And you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, we know. You just told us in an email and we all wrote back, that's great. And now you're bringing it up in person for us to go, that is awesome. That's so great that you went ahead and did that. When you can take a step back and notice, who needs that applause? Who needs that recognition, that validation? And who becomes a wicked witch if they don't get it, or an asshole if they don't get it? I've found that so many, I'm just thinking of a webpage that closed recently, and the reasoning was because it wasn't getting enough likes. It's interesting to me too that addiction to likes and views and shares and subscribes, the followers, the unfollowers. It is such a culture where we're thriving on that instant validation. I mean, I am guilty as, believe me, some of these videos and some of the things I talk about are literally me confessing my sins. And this is a sort of repentance for my shitty views in the past or hurts that I've done that I need to make up for. And I feel like being honest with myself and with you is part of giving back. And when I needed the applause, and I was that person who would say, like, all I'm thinking is, don't I look good? Like, vanity is a son of a bitch. Vanity will have you walking around in the skimpiest outfit alive while you're around friends and family. Like, the point I'm making is there are some people who are just so obsessed with themselves and the applause that they've received or constantly need that I want to say it's almost fogs their view of things, and then their personality sort of morphs to this constant need of sharing what you've done, where you're going, 5 new followers, 100 likes, looking for that applause. Now, the other side of this out there that I was thinking is, now imagine the same company, you on your own time did some research and was able to find a grant that you applied for. You ran it by the heads, your supervisors. They were like, yeah, go for it. You applied for this grant. You got the grant. And you're bringing that information to that weekly meeting. You saved this. You wanted to surprise everyone because this grant means you're bringing in, I don't even know, like 5 more workers, whatever. But the intention was to bring in 5 more workers and surprise your coworkers with, look what I've done for us. Like, look what we're gaining. And you notice in that meeting, as you're sharing your good news in your moment of looking for applause, everyone but that like one motherfucker Bob isn't fucking applauding. And you find yourself, oh, thanks. What's wrong with that bitch Molly? Why isn't she clapping for me right now? Or it's like watching people stroke their own egos is so interesting. And then watching the people who won't respond to that stroke of ego, even more fascinating, because then it's a whole shift of like, why don't you want to be happy for this person? This shit exists, man. This shit exists. I had a group of friends who, it's just coming to my head because it really showed me clearly the people who I was with. Well, a couple of them were like in a bad spot, working their way up, whatever. I've always been someone like, I will buy you a beer because I've been the person who needed someone to buy me a beer because I didn't have any money. But you wanted me to come out and I wanted to stay home. And like, I'd rather you be here because I want you as my friend. It has nothing to do with money. If I want you here, I want you here. You got to pay it forward too. Like, You see someone in a shit situation that you've been in before, you got to give it back. You got to pay it forward. But this group of people, like, I did a lot of partying with them. And then I started to do a bit of growing up. And then it was like I'm applying for things and I'm getting them. And I'm telling my group of friends. And I noticed this small group of friends aren't really applauding me. One of them was. But I would get nothing from the other two. And then I started to like really push it, because I was like, I've done a lot for these people. I've been there. I've supported. I'm really shocked as shit that you're not going to reciprocate for me. And maybe those are the moments where my ego wants the applause, and I'm wondering, why didn't I get it? But when you give it forward, like I'm saying, and you're in a moment where there's just a smidge of expectation, like, oh, my friends are going to be so proud of me and happy for me. And they're not. And you're like, why the fuck am I friends with these people? Why can't you be happy for me right now? And then it becomes more and more evident. If the people in your small circle aren't going to applaud for you, first, I've learned, it has nothing to do with you. It's about where they're at in life and whatnot. But there's something to that. When someone who you care about, or you've said you care about, or you've led to believe that you care about, is on the up and up, and you're not one of the fans there to say, like, I knew you could do it. It's one of those, like, who do I have closest to me right now? Like, who am I sharing my good news with? I noticed one time too, I started to date someone that I was really excited to date. I had been single for over a year. This was last winter. And I started dating this person, and I was so excited. And I noticed, of my close friends, there was one friend who would get on my ass about, you're spending too much time with him. I see him on the weekends when we're both free. Well, don't forget about your other friends. I've been hanging out with you, going out with you for months, and I've just met someone and I've spent 3 weekends with him. Well, I'm just telling you, Megan, that pissed the freaking shit out of me, that who I considered a good friend to me wasn't happy for me. And she wasn't. But I had to consider the source. And the source was someone who had just gotten divorced, didn't like being single, didn't like doing things on her own. And she was in the midst of losing the other single girlfriend she used to go out and do stuff with. But where I expected, and this goes back to my own things with expectations, where I thought I deserved, like, Megan, I'm happy for you. You finally found someone that you're into, and, like, you're really happy right now. I found guilt trips. I found myself questioning myself, like, am I spending too much time with him? Am I forgetting my friends? No. I was going out and playing trivia on Wednesdays with this group. I was doing stuff on other days with this group. It became like a control she just didn't want. She didn't like. It's like a jealous. Like, I was having something that she didn't have, and her jealousy came out as not applauding and putting me in my head. So I'm going to have to rewatch this and hope it makes some sense. I really do think, like, there's a quote about, like, pay attention to who doesn't applaud for you when you're on the up and up. That does make sense. And I know it contradicts what I'm saying about those that need applause. But there are people that need applause 1 hour consistent every single day, all work day. And then there's someone who's like genuinely in a moment where those, if you cared about them and you wanted to see them do well in life, or be in general, just be happy for them because you care about them, you'd be applauding for them. When someone who's supposed to be there for you and care for you and be in your inner circle, family member, best friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, grandparents, neighbors, whoever you're closest to, whoever's in your little circle, your wolf pack, your gang, if they're not applauding for you, when you in your heart and soul know you would be doing that for them with what accomplishment you've made, you really truly have to start taking a hard look at your little wolf pack, because maybe the wolf pack needs to get a little smaller. And I hate to be like, single yourself. Not a lot of people are willing to walk off when they feel themselves being disrespected. A lot of people are willing to stick around for the sake of not wanting to be lonely or singled out. So look for applause when it's earned and due. Don't seek applause morning, noon, and night. And applaud, I would say, everyone for everything they do when they're following their dream or doing something genuine from their heart. Not those motherfuckers who need you to clap for them every morning, noon, and night.